Good afternoon to all of you. I am Dr. D.G. Shahane, Department of English, SMSMP Mahavidyalaya, Natipute. Today, I am going to deliver a lecture on one of the survey topics from British literature. The name of the topic is Characteristics of Modern Novel. Friends, I will deliver lecture by taking into consideration some major points which occurs in this topic or which are important to know while we are studying the characteristics of modern novel. At the outset, I would like to give you a very brief information or introduction of this modern novel. The modern age is essentially the age of novel. This is the most important and popular medium in the modern times. English fiction, English novel is the only literary form which can compete for popularity with the film and the radio. The publication of a new English novel by a novelist is received now with the same enthusiastic response as a new comedy by Dryden or Congreve was received in the Restoration period, and a new volume of poems by Tennyson during the Victorian period. So, such is the interest among the readers of this novel in modern era also. Now, I would like to focus on some major characteristics of modern novel. One of them is realism. You know the meaning of realism. The novel of the modern age is realistic in nature. The novelist of this period depicted the subjects which are related to reality. So, the realistic writer is one who thinks that truth to be observed facts is a great thing, while an idealist writer wants to create a pleasant picture. Friends, the facts about the outer world or his own feelings observed through the medium of this modern novel, or the writers try to depict or focus on those facts. The modern novelist is realistic in this sense. He tries to include within the limits of the novel almost everything and not a merely one-sided view of it. This is the special characteristics of this novel, that they have taken into consideration the two sides of the things which they are going to depict in the novel form. Because of this, the reality will come out and the justice will be given to the thought. Tolstoy's War and Peace and Eliot's Middlemarch had proven that the novel can be made as flexible as life itself. The modern novelists have continued this experiment still further and are trying to make the novel more elegant and flexible. So, this is all about the realism which is used in this modern novel. Next characteristics of this modern novel is love for romance. Against the tendency of realism and materialism perceptible in the early years of the 20th century, with an accent on the discussion of social problems, stand the tendency for the criticism of material values and a love for sex, romance and adventure. The note of disappointment against the realism in fiction and too much concentration on material values of life was sounded by psychological novelists of the age like Virginia Woolf and a few critics of modern life like Samuel Butler, Huxley, Forster, etc. Samuel Butler satirized the realism of the modern civilization and its insistence on machinery in Ironhorn. Virginia Woolf too severely criticized the Edwardian realism. So, this is love for romance which we can see in this modern novel. Friends, now I would like to continue next characteristics of this novel, that is frank in sexual matters. During the Georgian period, a new tendency began to be perceptible in English fiction, and it centered on the glorification of sex and primal human emotions and passions. The Victorian novelists showed no interest in the naked dance of sex, and their novels they preferred married love over illegal flirtation. The Victorians' anti-sexuality got a great jolt by the Georgian novelists, who presented sex relationships in their novels. Sexual frankness is used by writers like D.H. Lawrence. The result is that whereas the earlier English novel generally dealt with the theme of the relation between gentility and morality, the modern novel deals with the relationship between loneliness and love. So, this is all about the point frank in sexual matters, how that is used in the novel. Next point is here, that is stream of consciousness technique. The stream of consciousness technique is a revolutionary modern technique which had tried to transform the art of narrative almost in every respect. The first user of this technique was the French novelist Edouard Dujardin. The phrase stream of consciousness, however, was coined by the psychologist William James, who wrote Principles of Psychology in 1890. By calling consciousness a stream, James means that human consciousness is something fluid. It is an unbroken current of feelings, impressions, fantasies, half formed thoughts, and awareness in general. Consciousness is continuity like time and is independent of time. At any given instance of time, an individual's consciousness may not be entirely concerned with the present. He may be living through an experience of the past or fantasies about the future. Friends, this is all about the stream of consciousness technique. The next point in this survey topic is novel of ideas. I mean, the modern novel is called the novel of ideas. In the first decades of the 20th century, the English fiction was mainly confined to the discussion of problems confronting us in the social life. The Edwardian novel was essentially a novel of ideas, including in its scope a free discussion of all kinds of ideas, scientific, social, political, industrial, and so forth. The Edwardian novelists considered it to be a sin to escape into a world of romance and psychology when the gaping wounds of social life were pleading for reform and healthy treatment. H.G. Wells, Galsworthy, Arnold Bennett particularly centralized their attention to the social problems of their times and made the novel an instrument of social propaganda. So, this is all about the last point, novel of ideas. So, I have discussed this topic in detail in front of you. Thank you very much for giving me patience. Thank you a lot.